while we're on the subject of refueling and getting back in your car and getting on the road faster, I have a maybe controversial point, and that's that I think 150 kilowatt fast charging is fast enough. I do not think there is a real need for faster than that. Obviously, tons of companies are pushing both the engineering boundaries to actually make that happen, and then there's a lot of marketing companies who are pushing fluff bullshit as well.
So I think to be honest with you, I really don't disagree, but I would say that is on like the lower threshold. Like 150,
to be fair,
it makes it work. But
most non-Tesla fast chargers out there are only 50 kilowatts right now.
Totally.
And those do need to become faster. But, I've charged at a wide variety of speeds out there, and I honestly think, this is just my personal opinion from my personal experience, I think 150 kilowatts is fast enough.
Well, I don't disagree with that either. I think just to put it in context for people who don't understand what 150 kW means.
Good point.
Level 6.
Yeah, I mean, for example, it's like, okay, I've been on the road for like 3 hours. I go get something to eat, something to drink. And most of the time, my experience, if you're at 150 kW,
20 minutes.
Maybe once I've done like whatever I need to do, maybe I'm working or like I need to hang out like another 5 minutes, if that. And that way, anyway, I'm like, oh, I got to shoot a couple of texts to so-and-so. So it's like, you're right. I think 150 kW. And to be honest with you, even like once you get 200, 250, there have been times where I've seen
it's too fast.
It almost is, which I'm not going to say no to it.
I'm not either, but I've
yeah.
experienced the same thing, Chase, where I pulled up and there was a convenience store a block away. And I go to the convenience store and I'm not even done checking out. I haven't swiped my credit card yet to buy the snacks I was going to get for the road. And my car's already like, you have 250 miles of range ready to go. And I'm just like, I'm not ready to go yet.
Yeah.
Right. I would say, I think, 150 is certainly more than adequate. I mean, again, especially if you're road tripping, it's the element of you don't own a house, so you can't charge at home. Your workplace doesn't have charging.
Totally.
What's your option then? And then it becomes a little bit more of a, I would rather maybe still want to have something more convenient. But this is where I think we're building into that process of phasing EVs into society with basically who it works with best. And unfortunately, yes, that does mean people that are in a position where they actually can charge at home. And so the inconvenience of charging doesn't feel that way because they always leave with a full charge. And then if they do go on a road trip, there's enough genuinely fast charging infrastructure now that if you're driving the right car, to your point, Wade, it's 20 minutes maybe, and then you're back on the road. And for my experience, for what I do with my car, that works absolutely perfectly. And I don't give it a second thought. But that, again, if I didn't have a house that I could fill up at every single night, then I'd be like, that still may not be perfect.
Yep.
So
which EV do you have again, Matt?
I have a Model 3 and my wife has a Bolt.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah. And so we road trip in my car because it's just more practical from a fast charging perspective.
Yep.
But both of them are awesome cars for what they offer in the sense that, they both go over 200 miles easily.
Yeah.
And so, I think that the hard part is gases fit everybody's use case, whether you were living in your mom's basement and you parked around the corner, or you had a mansion and you own 7 cars. Gas works for both those use cases from a convenience perspective very well in most people's minds. Mm-hmm. The inconvenience is I have to go get my fuel. Yeah. The more that we can help people understand that they really can own their fuel, and if they do have the ability to say, I park at home and I can control this, I think that's a huge, huge selling point.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that's the missed opportunity right now to help accelerate the industry even a nice chunk forward, is there are so many people that have the disposable income and places to park that could be buying these cars left and right, and they just don't seem to yet understand the benefit of that.
I've seen so many folks who put solar panels on their roof and started to think just a little tiny bit about energy independence. And they're like, wait, I'm generating all of this clean, free electricity. I should get a car that uses this. Like, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had a solar panel owner where they're like, I should get an EV. And I'm like, yes, absolutely you should.
Yeah. Well, if you live in places like Arizona or Southern California,
seriously,
man, there's no one should have a house that doesn't have solar on it. Mm-hmm. And so again, so all this conversation, what are we talking about? We're talking about energy education.
Yeah.
And my father's an engineer, and he and I sat and had long conversations about this. And as a marketer, I kept saying, okay, what bare minimum to be dangerous, what do people need to know? and to at least not make a mistake with how they're going to fill up their car, for example, using electricity. And we went through conversations back and forth, and he just kept saying, he's like, until it's dummied down to the point where someone who says, I used to get regular, but now I go get whatever that new phrase is. Tesla's the only example, because they created that Apple-esque ecosystem that you can't goof it up unless you try.